Here we are. Welcome back, Baloo. Good to have you with us live for the first time.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yes, and sorry to the audience that are obviously catching this on a replay here. It's a time zone that, probably taken some of you by surprise, but we're playing around with that, trying to find the best place for everybody. We've got Baloo coming to us from Mexico. I'm down here in New Zealand, so it'll be interesting to see what parts of the world tune in today. On that note, shout out to a couple of familiar people here. Cammy, good to see you. Nathan? Yes, you haven't seen me live for a while, so yeah. Let us know what part of the world you're in. The whole idea of going live here, people, is to help you out, answer your questions. But we'll kick it off with the mother of all coins. What do you got to tell us about Bitcoin, Baloo? What's going on?
Yeah, so I mean, Bitcoin is in a localized downtrend. Let me just go ahead and share my screen here. We did get a break of the downward sloping resistance, so that's a good thing. That's check mark number one. Let me just kind of, we were once we started to sell off, we were trapped below this. Let me make that a little bit easier to see here. We were trapped below this line. We got a nice confident breakout of that line, double bottom at the lower end of this kind of trading range that I have marked down here. So this is good. This is a step in the right direction, but I don't really think we're out of the woods yet. Effectively where we're at right now is a lower high, and you have to trade with the trend. So right now it's not, it's in a precarious place right now. So we are in no man's land. We have just come off our localized low here. Let me just kind of get something a little bit easier to see. We've come off our localized low and we're now rallying. So we need to come down and test a higher low. So that's the next thing that we're looking for. So if we can get that higher low, confirm that higher low and turn around, then it's looking better. And then the final confirmation is if we get a break above the new all-time high, the local all-time high. So if we can get a break above that level, then there's nothing to worry about. We're back on, it's game on, and the bull market will continue. So there's a little bit of shakiness. We do have to kind of, we've had nothing but higher highs and higher lows for a very long time. And this is kind of the first time that we've had a localized lower low. So it's at a transition point. It's not the environment to pick up any leverage. This is the time where you want to sit in spot and wait, maybe even consider having some cash positions. It's not a time to over leverage yourself. The recovery in the altcoin space has been pretty impressive, and it's got a lot of people really excited. But I think to really commit to this market where we are right now would kind of be risky and a little bit irresponsible. It's okay to buy things at higher levels. It's okay to wait for confirmation to come in so that you can feel a little bit more confident in the continuation of the trend. And where we are right now is we're in limbo. So we do kind of need to wait for these confirmations to come in. Meanwhile, everything's pumping. Or we got a lot of stuff pumping, which always makes it very, very hard. You see the recovery and you look at that as a measure of strength. But until we get the big macro confirmations of a continuation, we have to be wary.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have my audience is very much a mixture of investors, who love sort of the fundamental analysis we do. We've absolutely got plenty of degens in the crew as well. So I'm pretty much trading on the daily. I use Bybit mainly for my Bitcoin and ETH trading. Can you tell us, we obviously did a really nice video the other day. Thanks for that. And I'll put a link below for people. It explains a bit more about you, so people can check that out. But more importantly, where can they find you on the regular? We're obviously doing this show live together once a week, but where else can they find you?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitch or here on YouTube if you're more comfortable with YouTube. I stream to both platforms simultaneously every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern. On occasion, I will do a bonus stream, and those bonus streams occur on Twitch. So, Twitch is kind of the audience that I'm playing to, but like I said, I stream to both. And then you can also, if you want to join the Discord, you can sign up for VIP at Baloo at thecryptojungle.com. We are actually just starting a new trial promotion as well. So if you kind of like this style of analysis and you like this content, you can try the group for a month for free. The only thing is, we do have a bit of a registration process that you have to sign up to qualify for that.
Okay. Yes, I'm sure many of my audience will be checking that out. I've been following your content for a while now, and your analysis is fantastic. But I also love what you're doing. I wouldn't call it sort of fundamental analysis, but great lessons on that bigger picture, how to approach trading. What was the term you use for the Wyckoff method? The something man.
The composite man. So terminology. The terminology has changed a lot in 100 years. Richard D. Wyckoff, he was, in the 1920s. So we're 100 years later from when he kind of, came up with this method. And the local terminology for the composite man is the whale. We call them whales, the large, high net worth institutional investors that have the capital to actually move the market and make waves in the market and essentially manipulate the market. The composite man.
To what degree that sort of, would you call what we saw the other day very much that? Was that a fake out where we went down to 47.5? You pretty much had every man and his dog calling 43 at that point, and bang, up we went. I think it was about 2 minutes after you and I got a call the other day. The
way I'm looking at the charts is composite man stepped in at 50K. So this move right here, this was just, the degens getting over leveraged. We had higher highs, higher lows. The whole market was really hot and frothy. When a lot of confidence comes into the market, what ends up happening is people over leverage themselves. And when they're over leveraged, you get that, cascading effect of stop loss triggers and liquidations that just drive the price down. And when we got to this level of 50K, which was the original breakout zone right here, like we had our original shakeout into this consolidation, and then we, had to resolve this kind of price action here, and we broke out. That was right at the 50K level. So there's a lot of support at that level. And based on this volume signature right here, this is telling me that there were buyers stepping in. So that's usually, the smart money are the ones that buy when everybody's scared.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So volume plays quite a big role in the Wyckoff method. Is that correct?
Yes. So it's really, there's a couple things that we look at when we're interpreting the charts, and it's the volume signatures that we see in correlation with what's going on with the trading range. So, these very large volume signatures are composite man. That's what we kind of refer to as composite man, is these signatures that stick up above the kind of regular trading volume inside of these, inside of the everyday trading period. There's these signatures that stick up, and it's because they're large net worth individuals stepping in. They just kind of sit on the sidelines. They wait for the traders to do their thing. They wait for the market to kind of, make their mistakes or whatever. And then at the opportune moments, they step in, and you can see it in the volume. It shows up as a signature. And those are what we try to interpret.
Excellent. Okay, so we'll come back for a more general sort of macro chat on Bitcoin at the moment, but I'm obviously dying to have we got Ethereum next? I believe we hit an all-time high a few hours ago.
Yeah, we keep knocking on the top of this resistance line on top of Ethereum. So Ethereum is in a very bullish posture, in my opinion. Just this ascending channel, basically since when was this? Basically February 20th of February, where we had that initial shakeout. We've had a lot of really bullish price action. You can see all of these candles are very, very tight. This is a characteristic of accumulation. You don't have that volatile up and down structure inside of Ethereum until here. So this is where, you know, we're getting wild. You know, the horse is bucking, the bull is bucking, and we are trying to break out of this consolidation. So if we can kind of get above this ascending channel and test it, we're off to the races, and we're looking for some pretty substantial targets. However, you know, there's always a caveat. We can never we always trade on confirmation. We can't front run ideas. We are below resistance right now. So, you know, these few swings, they're volatile. So don't go long here, because we can just get smacked right back down. You have to wait for the breakout. You have to wait for the test and the confirmation that that we're ready to kind of head to higher levels.
Yeah, that had some amazing price action last night. I'm only running on a couple of hours sleep at the moment. I mean, there were some big swings a few hours ago. Thoroughly.
I kind of thought it was going to be like that. So I actually, you know, I hold a lot of spot Ethereum. I don't really care about the day-to-day of what's going on with Ethereum. I'm really bullish on the project as a whole. But I saw us really kind of breaking or getting close to this area. So right here at the sign of strength, I actually decided to buy some call options on Ethereum. And this is a strategy that I will use when I'm unsure as to the volatility aspect. You know, with a futures contract, you can get stopped out, you can get liquidated. But with an options contract, it either expires in profit or it expires worthless. So the risk is fixed. And I kind of thought that this would be a hard asset to hold on to in the coming month. So that's why I kind of decided to go with more of a time-based contract as opposed to a volatility-based contract.
Right. Okay. What, I mean, any sort of specific instruments there that you make people aware of that you're using? I'm primarily using Bybit for my sort of leverage trading. Call myself
so
a degen.
No futures contracts on this trade right now. My futures exposure is on Bitcoin currently. So I'm using options, and the options contracts are actually kind of not super available for Ethereum. There's a lot of different ways that you can purchase options contracts on Bitcoin, but Ethereum doesn't have much. But what's cool is a lot of these DeFi projects are actually starting to offer very simple decentralized options platforms. So I'm using Finexus for this call option. Okay. You can't write it and get a premium, but it's kind of an interesting protocol.
Excellent. Okay, should we? I don't consider Ethereum an alt anymore, so I'll say, should we have a look at some alts now?
Yeah, sure. So I've prepared 3 charts today, basically kind of discussing the different phases of markup and how this kind of Wyckoff strategy can be implemented, and how you can kind of, the different phases of the market where you would be positioning yourself in these trades. So I've got a chart that's going to move slow. I got a chart that's going to move kind of medium fast. And then I got a chart that's mooning, and I'm not really recommending that you get into it, but we can kind of dissect what these reaccumulations look like. So I'll start out with Ontology. Ontology, I got to be perfectly honest, I don't know what it does. I have no idea what it does.
Unfortunately, I'm going to join you on that one. I'm not familiar with it either.
All I know is that it's part of the Neo ecosystem, and Neo has been rallying. That's the closest thing to a fundamental that you can get with me on this one. It hasn't popped to the point where I need to dive into the fundamentals and really kind of convict to what it is that I'm seeing, because in this stage of the market, you do want to kind of back up some of your technicals with some fundamentals so that you don't end up holding garbage. You don't want to hold bad quality projects just because they're pumping Doge. So we're going to, what I'm seeing here is this bottoming pattern. So, it's a flattening out. And I'm getting all of these signals. So seller's climax, automatic rally, secondary test. We're not going to get too deep into the weeds on this method. I'm happy to teach, and there's also plenty of free resources on the internet using the magic Google machine on these different events inside of the Wyckoff method. But basically what we're looking for here, this is the most important part, is the SOS, the sign of strength. This is the first higher high. This is the first macro higher high on this multi-year accumulation. I'm on the weekly chart here. And that sign of strength is exactly what it's saying. It is the first signal that there's strength to this asset. So it's the point at which you want to pay attention. And often after the sign of strength, you have a drawdown, and that's going to be your last point of support. So we're kind of sitting here at this SR flip right now, back inside of the trading range. So what I would like to see is kind of us get above the trading range and start a consolidation above it and start to head up. Now, these plays where you're just leaving the bottoming pattern, they're slow. So this is not a trade where, you know, if you decide to jump in, nothing here is financial advice, by the way, but, you know, if you decide to jump in, don't expect this to kind of take off right away. These are the slower trades, but the trade-off to that is the slower trades are at the bottom. And that's where the most multiples of an investment can come from. If you buy the bottom of something, you're going to be the recipient of the highest multiple when it does enter the markup phase. You know, patience is rewarded. Patience is a virtue inside of this game. And this is how the whales play. You know, they're the ones that cause this pattern to bottom. If it weren't for the institutional purchases inside of this, this would just keep trending down. It's them stepping in as a buyer that causes this to flatten out. So this is where I like to kind of position myself for long-term trades that can take, you know, they can take over a year, sometimes more to really play out. Depends on where we are in the market. But yeah, so that's Ontology. Another one that I want to take a look at has been a market leader in kind of the lending space, and that is for a while. Let me try and reconnect real quick. Gotta love the lives, hey?
Yep, no problem. I think you're good now by the look of it.
Oh, I don't have it on my screen. That's the problem. I can't tell you what I'm talking about if I can't see the screen. I don't know what happened there. Anyways, okay. I see it now. All right. So, you know, we had a really large rally inside of Aave.
A picture of me there, I think.
Okay, let me, technical difficulties. We should be good now.
Yep, good to go.
All right. So yeah, we had a very large rally inside of Aave. A lot of people jumped on board onto the Aave train, trying to, you know, get some of those Aave gains, and it peaked out at, you know, at least a 600% from the breakout of this consolidation down here. And we've been range bound for a while. We're kind of, you know, would be more of an intraday trade. This is what's referred to as a reaccumulation. So often what occurs on these reaccumulations is, you know, we have our blow off top, there's a little bit of a distribution, and then we become range bound in the lower end of this consolidation. So what we're looking for a confirmation on this is two things. We need to get a break above the resistance, which will be somewhere in this area. You know, we spent, there was a couple attempts to up thrust here. So we did get above this trading range right here. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we do need to kind of get above some of those levels. And that's going to come on high volume. So when we get that break on high volume, it'll probably look something like this. You'll get a nice sign of strength. Everybody will get really, really excited and all buy, and then it'll retrace back down to where it came from. That's the point at which you would have that bullish signal to maybe take an entry inside of Aave. It's kind of an interesting point because, you know, a lot of the whales made a lot of money, and when they make a lot of money and they start to take profits, we're talking about huge wallets, you know. And what happens is they sell their coins into strength, and so they dump and they flood the market full of supply. And what happens is the market has to absorb that supply, and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a very long time to be able to absorb that supply. And it's not until they've traded to the point of being able to absorb all of those coins that we can head higher. So, that's kind of what we're waiting for, is we're waiting for this to resolve and get the confirmations of a higher low, because we don't quite have that higher low. We need to break out, make a higher high, and then make a higher low, and then we could get the confirmation of a continuation to the upside. And speaking of confirmation of a continuation to the upside, we have Matic. So Matic has had a fabulous move from the bottom of its consolidation. So if you were following along on this one, you would be looking at this trading range, and basically any opportunity to buy would have happened below the box. So as soon as you were able to define this trading range, we had our buyer's climax down to our automatic reaction. That sets the range. Any time that we break that would have been a buying opportunity. And you can see the candles that came in that zone. So we had 3 of them here. 1, 2, 3. Anytime they broke the bottom of that range, huge demand. You can see these demand tails on this thing, and this is on the 12-hour. So a lot of demand showing buyers willing to step in. And as a result of that demand, we have a huge sign of strength move here. Now, this is kind of a tricky trade. This is not one that I'm recommending that anybody get into, because it's not in a position that is really advantageous, but I'm just kind of more showcasing how to trade kind of these consolidations. You want to kind of front run those ideas. Typically what you want is you get a break that doesn't break the previous high, and it comes down and tests, and you get in at the test. Matic hasn't done that. And I think that that's kind of a characteristic of where we are in the market currently, is there's a lot of investors that are just buying. The demand forces in the market are really starting to grow. I'm not saying that this can't come down to here and retest. I'm thinking maybe the test of the previous high would be more appropriate than trying to get an entry down here. But yeah, we're definitely making lows that don't go and test the previous support. So adjusting your strategy as you go along will kind of help you try and make better entries. We don't want to make an entry too soon when the downtrend hasn't concluded and we have to eat some of those costs, but we also don't want to wait too long and not get the turnaround and not get the retest that we were waiting for. So Matic is, it's on a tear. I think it'll come down, but the demand forces in the market are very strong right now, and Matic is very much so trending. It's definitely in its markup phase, a very powerful uptrend. So it's kind of hard to get in.
Yeah, well, I mean, the regular viewers of my channel will be extremely familiar with this project. It's one that we've made a bunch of how-to guides on, moving from layer 1 on Ethereum, moving your funds across to this layer 2. So obviously Matic rebranded as Polygon. I think that was around the 8-cent mark. So when is that? Sort of late February. Got a bit of press around that time, but look, this thing's been going from strength to strength. It's fantastic for me to see this chart do this. It's one of my major projects in my portfolio. I literally have it as a long-term hold. I have no stop loss on it. It's just something I sit on. But yeah, I mean, this has been the week's biggest mover. It's a project I think anyone in the crypto space, this is one that you also should. Obviously, we're doing technical analysis today, but just a reminder, this is a good one to understand, because this effectively scales ETH while we're waiting on Ethereum 2.0. Hearing a lot of noise out of projects like Cosmos. These Solana is another one, sort of flavor of the month at the moment. These layer 1 solutions that are effectively giving ETH a bit of a whack in the ribs. But Matic's an important project. There's a whole heap of action happening here at the moment, both in DeFi and in the NFT space, that effectively allows you to interact with these contracts at less than a cent, as opposed to trying to do something on layer 1 on Ethereum, where, as we all know, you can be paying $50 to $100 sometimes. So issues with Matic at the moment is it's almost, you can think it in terms of, it's like a dusty road trying to get from Ethereum over to Matic, but that UI will improve There's a lot of videos on my channel talking you through step by step about how to move those funds and really open up a world of blockchain from a usability point of view. Being able to buy NFTs, trade them, etc., at a fraction of the cost of an Ethereum layer 1 solution. So for me, it's a great day when I see a chart move like this, because fundamentally it's one that I moved into a while back. You made some great comments the other day, Baloo, that, when I asked you about sort of fundamental analysis and how you like to look at the chart, because you're really seeing how the crowd's behaving, and then go into really digging into those fundamentals. So for the audience, understand the fundamentals of Matic, people. It's an important project in the blockchain space. So Baloo, we were just talking before we came on. Or came on live here. For you, Bitcoin, we were discussing, is it a risk on or a risk off asset? In other words, how correlated is it to a major move in traditional markets? We all know what happened back in March. It's absolutely a possibility we could see another event like that. And do you think we would see a huge, could you talk to the audience a wee bit about that sort of risk on, risk off attribute of Bitcoin? Explain that to us a wee bit.
Yeah. So, a risk on asset or a risk on environment is one where investors don't really want to hold cash, and they want to kind of put their money somewhere, and they're willing to assume a lot of risk to just, keep their money working for them. I don't think Bitcoin is looked at in the way that it is designed, or maybe probable to actually. I don't think it's going to, and it's not being looked at in terms of what its power and how important it is. Kind of. I don't want to sound too meta here, but like, how important it is to the next step of civilization. Like, nobody is looking at it like that. It's very much so a speculative play. Most of the people in the space, even some people that have been holding Bitcoin for a long time, they don't really understand all of it, and we have a lot of people that are buying it and they don't really get it. They just know that, number goes up. So when you're in those types,
just sorry, Baloo, just on that note, could you come out of the screen share so we can?
Yes.
Maybe
My
grab
apologies.
a few questions from some of the crew here. Sorry, mate. Go on.
Yeah. So when the investor doesn't understand it fundamentally and doesn't look at it as like a way to kind of protect themselves from something like hyperinflation or something like that, if they see their market alpha go down, meaning their US dollars, like if they see their US dollars going down dramatically, like what we saw in the COVID shakeout, they're going to panic and they're going to sell it. And, I don't think we've decoupled from that yet, because we don't have enough people that aren't looking at Bitcoin in terms of dollar value. We do have some of the OG crypto whales. They gave up on the dollar a long time ago, and they've got a large financial ability to do so because they were buying it at, $1 or sub dollar. So they've got, a lot of incentive to just, I don't need the dollar. It makes sense for them. We're not quite there with a lot of the new people that are coming in. So they're willing to part ways with it and go to their safety net, which in their eyes is their dollars, even though they can be deflated or inflated and lose their purchasing power. So I don't think we're, there yet.
Yeah, interesting times. So let's. I'm just looking in the chat here, people. I see people talking about magic mushrooms. I'm not quite sure why. We want some questions from you on the markets, please. So just type them on, and I have a look at the chat. Welcome along. I see a couple of familiar names here. See you. Great to see you again, Justin. Welcome along. George Urban coming from the beautiful island of Copenhagen. Welcome, George. Spaceman, Sean and Baloo are a good team. Thank you, Spaceman. Yeah, so listen, fire any questions you got at us, people. That's kind of the purpose of these live shows. I understand anyone watching this not live, it is a very different time zone, so we'll figure out the right time of the day for everyone concerned. So yeah, I mean, Bitcoin is a risk on, risk off asset. I mean, obviously, I think most people now are becoming familiar with how much money has been printed. I think in the last 6 months, more was printed in the US in its entire history. Moving forward for the rest of the year, you know, the magic question at the moment is where are we in this cycle? Do you have any thoughts? I mean, obviously you were around in 2017. How do you go about analyzing the market stage and cycle? Is there any sort of data that you're looking at specifically from maybe 2017 that you're starting to see happen now with regards to Bitcoin dominance, these type of metrics? Any thoughts around how you go about assessing that stage, alt season, etc.?
Well, Bitcoin dominance, like a lot of people, you know, talk about certain key levels with Bitcoin dominance. There's way more coins now. So I think that those levels realistically are invalid at this point. You know, I used to hear like, oh, when we get to 74%, it turns around and we have an altcoin season. I don't think that really applies anymore. Since we're talking about dominance, though, there are some levels, like this is a chart that people look at. Let me just get the screen share back on here. You know, people do look at the Bitcoin dominance chart to kind of make decisions. I don't know how much weight they put on it, but we do have this very significant support/resistance flip that we're currently sitting on. So if we were to get a bounce and Bitcoin was to rally, it would make sense to bounce here. So that would not be good for the altcoin space. However, if we break this level, which levels are broken a lot easier on this chart, because, you know, it's not a chart that people are trading. They're making trading decisions on, but they're not trading this chart. If we do break through this, I think that's going to really open up the floodgates to have a lot of liquidity go into the altcoin space. So yeah, if we're talking dominance, you know, I don't look at any key area in particular. We're currently trending down. That is good for altcoins. Trend is your friend until it ends.
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually forgot if that was the question or not. I don't know what the question was. I just started talking about dominance.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's, you know, there's a million opinions out there in this space, and I think it's, you know, it's fantastic to really throw your net out there as wide as possible, people. I'd strongly encourage you to check out Baloo's channel as well. As he mentioned at the top of the show, he's are you live 3 times a week, or are you putting content out
live 3 times a week?
Right.
Live 3 times a week. I post the odd YouTube channel, but my consistent content is live streams.
Yeah, I'm just looking. We've got any more questions in this particular live stream. So come on, people, throw some decent questions at it. We're probably about to get bombarded with requests for altcoin charts, but
hey, that's half my show. So if we want to look at all the crazy altcoins, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, maybe on that note, sort of, how many projects do you typically trade at a time? I mean, is your portfolio different right now to say 6 months ago? I mean, and moving forward, how?
Yes. So my portfolio is very different from 6 months ago in the fact that we're not perfect. We make mistakes. I've gotten swept up in all of the hype and excitement, and I found myself overexposed to altcoins. Typically, if I'm to manage a trade, I like to manage 3. 3 trades are great. You're able to pivot. You're able to make decisions. You're able to plan. If it is a trade that needs attention, 3. And then I tell myself 3 because I always end up at 5.
Right.
But there's so much innovation in the space, and there's so many things that you kind of just want a piece of. It's really hard to just put it down and say, cool, it's exciting, I'd like to see that develop, but my allocations are elsewhere. And the shakeout was a reminder of that. So as this market kind of turns around, I will be consolidating those positions into a portfolio that's easier to maneuver. You know, there's a lot of people in this space, they take a look at their portfolio and they find themselves in 30 different coins. When you have that many assets to manage, you're pretty much at the whim of the market because you can't pivot. So you're a bag holder, and that's not, you know, if your plan is to buy at the lows and sell at the market highs, and you're able to time it appropriately, that's fine. But you know, it's very hard to manage a portfolio like that if you are planning on being a little bit more active of a trader. So yeah, okay. My portfolio's got too many alts.
I've actually really trimmed mine down. I mean, you know, for me in you know, 216, 217, I had a ton of them. Now I think in total I probably it would actually be less than 10 coins. You know, I do some degen trading. I'll put my hand up on that one, or you know, on a bit of leverage now and again. But you know, having been around the market, it would be 10 sort of % of my portfolio that I play that game with. You know, at the other extreme, the likes of a Polygon, the Matic token. You know, I'm sitting on that with no stop loss. I want to view it as an investment. It's long term. If it drops 40%, that doesn't worry me. I'm not trading. So it's a real mixture for me. I think, you know, there's huge money to be made in this space if you've got a bit of a balance of investing, trading, you know, really know what you're doing. And on that note, someone's asking where can they find you? Just a reminder, people, there's a link in the description. It's the Crypto Jungle on YouTube, and the link to Baloo's group is there also. Jose is asking you, and I'm only going to throw this at you, Baloo, because I know you do look at this one. If you've got a chart handy for Band.
Oh, Band. What a heartbreaker. Yeah, we can take a look at Band.
Okay.
Is my screen... Yeah, let's pull up Band. So Band is a trade that me and many of my group participants have been in for longer than we want. You know, it's structurally very good. It's a very good chart. Let me pull up. I think I've got it on the perpetual futures here. Oh, I guess I must have cleaned it up. But anyways, you know, Band protocol, it's a very nice chart. You know, we've got a very beautiful cup and handle here. Let me just draw this out. You know, it's got a cup and handle. We tried to make a breakout here. We tried to make a breakout here. You know, Bitcoin spoiled the party, and we're now below the resistance. But I'm very bullish on this structure overall, and I think, you know, it will break through this level of resistance here around $20 and commit and stay above that level. And once it does that, here's, you know, that's the nice thing about a longer term accumulation. The longer an asset sits in an accumulative structure, the higher the price targets. So as impatient as I am with this asset to get going, because I was buying it, you know, basically at the break of the box right here. I've been waiting a long time for this thing to start going, and I'm still convicted to the trade. I think that it's going to continue, but I've certainly closed any Binance. I had a bunch of Binance futures contracts on it, and I just, you know, we can't pay the funding on something waiting that long to take off. So everything is spot on Band, and I'm still confident in the trade. It looks ready. We just got to get past that level.
Okay. Okay. Keep your questions coming, people. I'm just wondering whether there's going to be another Doge pump, because apparently we've got Elon Musk hosting Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, so I would not be surprised in the slightest to see Doge continue to pump again. The thing you need to realize about Doge, and I actually made a shorter format YouTube video about this, is Doge is almost like the perfect case study of the composite operator. Doge, I actually tracked the whale address. There's one huge whale address that holds 30% of the token supply. One address. Somebody has the keys to 30% of the token supply inside of that asset. So what that means is basically, as long as they don't sell, it's very easy to move the price up. The problem with that is when they sell, everybody's going to lose their shirt. everybody's going to lose that shirt. And that's the game. That's the game of the composite man. That is how the whale play. The whale or institution or entity or group of people that saw the opportunity inside of Doge to lock up that token supply were honestly brilliant. They knew exactly what they were doing. They got into a project that was mineable, immutable, had a community behind it. They got in at very good times, and they're going to dump one day. So I'm not touching it. I don't want to be a part of that. I did not see it for what it was when it was the right time to get in. Yep. And as a result of that, I'm not trading with the whale. I'm trading against the whale. And that is not an address that I want to be messing with, because it is a massive, massive token supply.
Yeah,
but
true.
Let's go ahead and look at it anyways.
What's the market cap? Have you got a chart there for it? I'd just be interested to compare its market cap to Matic. I mean, Matic, obviously we've seen 100% move, and it's always, from a nice entry. I don't go chasing candles, but this would be a good opportunity actually to maybe compare the market cap of Doge against something like Matic, because I do think that
Doge is the top 7. Good golly, what's wrong with us?
So 35. What do we got there? 35 billion.
$35 billion.
Yeah. So what do we got for Polygon? I think it's like 3.5.
Where is Polygon?
There we go. Probably about 45th.
Oh yeah, there it is. So 4 billion.
Oh, it's geez,
4.4 billion.
Man, wow. That's up to 36. Up another 4% while we've been filming. Geez. So I mean, what I would maybe point out to the audience here is, I think it's always important when you see some of these projects pump, to go and look at the market cap. So in other words, for me, I think from this point, Matic could quite easily have another sort of 3 to 5x in it. And I base that on looking at something like Doge or a Litecoin, which are multiples of that at Polygon Matic's current price. So, from an investment point of view, and obviously not financial advice, people, do your own homework here, but that's how I would assess the viability of Matic to, do that 3 to 5x from here. And that's why I would say, based on what it does fundamentally, for me, it's still got those sort of legs when I compare it to looking at some of these others here, Litecoin. Do we need Litecoin? Why is it worth that? Doge. I put it in the same category there. Cardano, on the other hand, I'm somewhat starting to change my mind here a wee bit, Baloo. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on Cardano, but just sort of hot off the press here, I believe they've signed a 3-year deal with the government. I believe it's Ethiopia. Now, what they're going to be doing there is rolling out a blockchain solution for their entire, I believe it's the schooling system. So it's hundreds of thousands of users, and quite a significant project, which I found quite interesting. I'm all about real use case, and that was very interesting to hear that coming out of that project, because it has been one I've just completely written off. No smart contract ability currently, etc. But yeah, it appears like there's some things happening there. Any thoughts on Cardano?
It's not a project I have fallen in love with, but I also haven't given it the time of day.
I fall in that.
Hearing what you just said is kind of interesting, because blockchain does kind of release a lot of the world from the tyranny of regulation, and it allows them to kind of participate in the global world of finance. So if they're targeting these kind of disadvantaged nations, I like that. Fundamentally, I like that. So as far as the project, to me, it's the king of delays and false promises. But tech always develops slower than we want it to. I don't know enough to have an educated decision on its true value. I just know that I'm an Ethereum guy. I like what Ethereum is doing. And if I have to pick a smart contract, I'm going to pick the one that has, more participation from developers, more market cap, and just what seems to be the current market leader. If Cardano starts to pull ahead of Ethereum, of course I need to adjust. But I don't try and front run those types of ideas, and I'm not actively trading Cardano. But I like that
look, I
story you
don't
just
see
told me.
that happening. As we both know, the bulk of the development here is on Ethereum. DeFi is on Ethereum. You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see, you know, Binance Coin really see some major price action in the very near future. Well, we're kind of seeing it at the moment. But, you know, ultimately, I just want to remind the audience that, you know, that these centralized solutions for me are not really what crypto is about. And you made a good point there that blockchain will bring a new level of equality and fairness. It's effectively an open book where everything is public. I actually posted a video yesterday. It was an interview I did a number of months back with the guy who invented blockchain. So I would encourage everyone to go and have a look at that. No one actually really is that familiar with this guy. So he was the first interview I did in a series, sort of, you know, really trying to talk to the absolute sort of key people, thought leaders in the space. And he raised a really interesting point there about how institutions are adopting these blockchains, and a lot of that action tends to be around sort of private or permission blockchains, especially in the financial markets at the moment. But that really is branching out and encompassing a much bigger public blockchain scenario moving forward. And he observed that a lot of them don't actually know what they're getting into, and the fact that they are sort of integrating there, we really will end up with that bigger picture use of public blockchains, and, you know, remove these sort of Enron scenarios, you know, just the abuses that we've seen within the financial industry in the past. And Lord knows we need more of that moving forward with some of the action that I think is coming up for us in the very near future. Any sort of closing thoughts from you, Baloo, on what you're seeing right now? Do you think, to me, you alluded to the fact, well, not alluded, you know, Ethereum is looking super strong at the moment. You looked at the BTC and ETH chart. Maybe we could sort of finish off on that today.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you trade Ethereum against Bitcoin, or are you USD?
Not yet. You know, I'm going to watch I'm going to watch the charts as they develop, because, you know, since the introduction of futures contracts, basically ever since CME dropped, the US dollar holds a much stronger place in the actual technical setups that we're seeing in a lot of the charts. I do believe that as this market continues, we're going to see more and more setups that play out in a more predictable way on the Bitcoin pair, as people stop taking profits into dollars and they will only take profits into BTC. So I'm theorizing here, because we don't have that data just yet, but I think that we're going, you know, later on in the market, we're going to we're going to limit exposure to giving the setup preference on the US dollar pair. And I think we're going to give, you know, the trade setup preference to the Bitcoin pair. And I think we're witnessing a little bit of a transition with that right now. And that's actually a fantastic segue into the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. So I'll pull that up right now. So yeah, as we discussed on the upload video, we're in this bottoming pattern inside of Ethereum, and it's a very classic structure. This is so close to, like, perfect. It's ridiculous. So, you know, I think when this chart really starts to move, that's going to give a lot more validity to the Bitcoin pairs as a setup. We're seeing here, this is a megaphone. I don't know how many of your viewers have read the book Confessions of a Stock Operator, or Diary of a Stock Operator. Anyways, it's a very old book talking about a trader called Jesse Livermore, a very famous Wyckofian back in the day. And he used the Wyckoff method, and he used many other different methods to kind of identify when an asset has bottomed and is leaving that bottom. And one of those is this kind of megaphone structure that we're seeing develop on the Ethereum Bitcoin pair. We just keep printing higher highs and we keep printing higher lows with a higher spread in volatility. And it's looking really good. If I was to pick the chart that I was most bullish on in this space, I keep gravitating back to this chart. I really like this chart. And we're, it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of drama or news or stuff like that we get as a result of that, the EIP 1559 upgrade. Here's the chart. I would like to actually throw it back to you on what your thoughts are with that upgrade, because, I am a technical guy. I touch on fundamentals, but I don't go deep. So I would actually love to hear your thoughts on that upgrade and what you think we can expect with the drama of the miners being upset and all of that stuff going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously with a brand called hard forking, and effectively it is a hard fork that's coming up here. You have many different types of hard forks, and a contentious hard fork is obviously you get a chain split. We saw that in 217, where the factions within the Bitcoin community all around block size, they split and we got Bitcoin Cash. I think that it's a very real possibility there. The miners may fork. We may end up with yet another Ethereum classic. Obviously, we've already had
classic. Yeah.
Yeah. So look, I mean, that's absolutely on the cards, and you can understand from their point of view, it's a complete change in your whole business model. But look, they know that they've known it's coming for a very long time. It's going to be fascinating how it plays out. But I guess I would basically say, look at the price action we're seeing now. Where, obviously we're seeing Ethereum hit a new all-time high a few hours ago. We're seeing Matic appreciate by over 100% in the last few days. That's its layer 2 solution. Now, I just want to also clarify that these layer 2s, when Ethereum 2.0 happens, that doesn't null and void them at all. I mean, quite the opposite, actually. So to answer your question, my gut feeling, and this isn't financial advice, but I'm certainly increasing my Ethereum position and have been doing that over the last month quite substantially. I think we're going to see a run up in price as we approach BIP 1559. There's going to be some fireworks. As I say, we may end up with a chain split, but ultimately Ethereum is moving from proof of work to proof of stake. Bitcoin for me, as I mentioned the other day in our video, it's a completely separate thing to the rest of the crypto market. It has become this store of value. But if you compare it back to 217 when it split into Bitcoin Cash and ultimately Bitcoin SV as well, it's a similar scenario that we're about to go through with Ethereum here. So, if you thought crypto was a wild ride up to this point, people strap in for the next few months. But to answer your question, I am increasing my Ethereum position. I think this is a positive coming up here. It's obviously something we're going to be covering in a hell of a lot of detail, and looking at the charts and try to make sense of what's going on there, but also the fundamentals here. It's going to be difficult to make a lot of sense of this, especially for newbies. Hard forks, chain splits, proof of work, proof of stake. For a lot of people watching, these are all very new concepts, but we have been through this before, people, and we'll do our best to educate you. But this is massive. And obviously, for me, if Ethereum 2.0 works and Ethereum scales, it's the world's supercomputer. My God, I mean, the price we see right now is just going to look like a grain of sand on a huge beach in the future. I mean, exciting times, Baloo. Exciting times.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. And often I kind of see these bullish charts and I see these bottoming patterns and I see them start to leave their bottoming pattern. And I say to myself, okay, where's the news? What's the news story? What is going to do it? What's interesting about Ethereum is it's probably going to be the EIP 1559 that brings the demand. Supply's dried up. You know, there's no supply. Anybody who knows what's going on has Ethereum. And you know, that's a supply shock. And when the demand or the questions of who's going to be the winner come into play, even if we fork and there's people going to the other chain, I think that's still going to drive demand while people make a decision, and we're going to see Ethereum pull ahead.
Yeah, correct. I mean, obviously Ethereum is going to become a deflationary asset at that point as well. So, you know, you're going to have a huge amount of the supply locked up, as you say, plus the you know, it becomes a deflationary asset. I mean, imagine what that's going to do to price here. So, you know, there's some teething problems at the moment. You know, anyone trying to sort of trade on DEXs at the moment, these ETH fees are insane. But you know, we looked at Matic earlier today, people, and I'd encourage you to check out some of my videos that explain exactly what layer 2 tech is, how you can move on to it. You know, if you're wanting to play blockchain games, buy NFTs, etc., you can do all that for under a cent on that Ethereum layer 2 Matic. Polygon. So,
I'm gonna have to take a look at that myself.
Oh, really?
I have no idea. You know, I thought if I want to pay a penny for an Ethereum transaction, I got to be on Binance Smart Chain. So I'm definitely going to take a look at that. You know, there's so much going on. It's really hard to keep up. And I've been in the space for years. I can't imagine what some of the new participants are, you know, the amount of innovation this cycle is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Last cycle was just a bunch of snake oil and vaporware. And, you know, a lot of people made a lot of money. This time we're actually building things, and it's crazy to see what's happening with these DEXs and these layer 2s and everything that's happening right now. So, you know, I don't have all the answers. I'm lost sometimes too. So,
well, you should watch the show that we're putting out later today, Baloo. I've got a couple of really capable guys that have extremely active in the space and been here for a long time. And I was a Bitcoin maximalist up until about a year ago. I mean, for me, you know, you become what you're around. And my sort of introduction to the space in 2016, I got to know that, you know, the hardcore maxis and, you know, Ethereum was a scam. It was a complete load of rubbish. Don't touch it. And I bought into that narrative for a very long time. But for the, you know, the last year, I've really applied myself to understand. And as you say, it is difficult. But another thing I want to get across to the audience that, you know, just in the last week, I mean, I got a significant airdrop from effectively, you know, just getting in there and using different projects. And it can seem daunting. It can seem, oh my God, I can't understand this. You know, I have moving from layer 1 to layer 2, and, you know, no offense to some of the developers out there, but you clearly see that, you know, that ability to use terminology and make something, you know, usable isn't quite there yet. But for that reason, there's huge amounts of money, and you can actually make a significant income here without actually putting money in. You've just got to get in there and use these things. You know, some of the airdrops are huge. They're significant. I mean, you know, if I look at the Uniswap airdrop that happened a few months back, I mean, that's, you know, some of the people I think
you're sitting on $15,000 if you didn't sell, something like that for the Uni airdrop.
Correct. And, you know, a lot of people I know had multiple wallets. So you got given that, you know, 5-6 times, depending on how many wallets you're using. So, you know, you got to get in there and dig around and check out this tech, people, because it's difficult at the moment, but that's sort of the market. For me, that's where we're at in this market cycle at the moment. It's sort of mid-90s when you compare it to the internet. You are rewarded for applying yourself and getting in there and checking out these different projects and the tech. Binance, I think, is going to do well because they're just making it easy, you know, but it's centralized. And for me, that's not real crypto. It's not decentralized. It's not bringing us that, you know, that future I want that is decentralized. So, you know, from a financial investment point of view, I have some Binance coin. I like the platform. I use it all the time, but I like to try and support, the decentralized aspects of this industry, DeFi, what is happening on Ethereum, on layer 2. So get in there and play around, people. And there's plenty of content on this channel that is step-by-step guides. I'll send you some links as well, Baloo. You can teach me more about technical analysis because
tradesies.
I have to scratch that degen itch sometimes. I was up last night playing that game. I'm in a trading competition on Bybit at the moment, and I've found myself in the top 5%, bizarrely.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah. Got lucky on a few trades, I think. But listen, as I say, anyone watching this recorded, we will endeavour to find a time slot that works for everyone. I think Baloo, we hopefully got you over in Asia in the near future as well, which will make it a bit easier. End of June. End of June, I should We've
be.
Just invented a new month for the audience. Very good.
End of June, I should be in Indonesia. I'll be in Canggu, so that will be a lot easier for a lot of us. Seems everybody that I'm doing work with seems to be from your side of the world, so I'm excited for that transition.
Yeah, let us know where people that are watching right now. Let us know what part of the world you are in, because obviously it's not a time zone I have streamed in before. I'm quite intrigued to see who is watching and where you're from. Someone's actually watching. Ken, you mentioned Dash the other day, Baloo. Are you? Well, it's a fundamental question here. This one: can Dash help Venezuela before ADA helps Africa? If so, Dash could go parabolic.
I think Dash can go parabolic. I think Dash can go parabolic because
the chart again for you.
Yeah, for me, when I see something leaving a bottoming pattern, that means the whale's done. So for me, Dash can go parabolic because a whale accumulated it. I'm sure there's fundamental factors that go into that as well. But when I'm looking at a chart, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And again, nothing here is financial advice. And I want everybody to understand that when you're at the bottom, there's two things to consider. First thing, things move slow. They move very slow. If you are an impatient trader, skip it. Secondly, you're at the bottom. The ability to lose a lot of money is very easy because you only have to go from here to lose 86%. So the volatility, even though we're in such a tight range, the volatility is very, very high. So the downside moves hurt. The upside moves are pretty lackluster. But for me, Dash is in a position right here at the backup is what we call when we finally break out of this trading range and we sit on top of it and we test it multiple times. If we can turn around here and start heading up and start that trend, which again will be slow, you're going to be in a very good position. Now, don't just go and buy, do your research, do your due diligence, understand the risk, and understand what confirmations and how to protect your investments look like. But I'm pretty bullish on Dash. I think it's in a good position. It also has privacy. So privacy is kind of an important aspect that a lot of people get kind of scared, and there is risk associated with holding a privacy coin because it's going to be in the criticism.
I'll just jump in there quickly, Baloo.
Yeah. No,
Dash actually did remove. It really was very much a privacy-focused project in the past, but my understanding is that's not its main driver anymore. So yeah, because I think there was that stage where a lot of the privacy coins were delisted from exchanges, etc. But the other biggie has been this pirate chain in the privacy space. Quite I've helped that did 7,000% or something ridiculous lately.
That was one that came across my desk, and it was like, hey, you should check this out. I'm like, all right, it looks like it pumped a crap ton and then crashed a crap ton, so I'll pass. But immediately after that crash, it just mooned. It mooned, and it's still mooning. It's like
totally. But I mean, what you said the other day about looking at a chart. So for me, it's I am going away to have a bit more of a dig into the fundamentals of Dash. I know that there was a lot of penetration in Venezuela with this project. In fact, I seem to remember sort of a year ago someone telling me that it actually had higher penetration than Bitcoin, but I'll just be careful what I say on that front. So yeah, I'll have a look at this one fundamentally for you, audience, because Baloo did put this on the radar from the technical analysis point of view. So yeah, I'm quite fascinated. I know a number of people from this project as well. So definitely keen to pick this one up. So yeah. Hey, the other thing before I forget that I wanted to discuss with you, when we talk about the composite man, the other sort of quite big news was that Tesla sold a portion of their Bitcoin. Any thoughts on that?
I think the market kind of overreacted a little bit to the relevance and importance of them making a decision like that. They have to appease shareholders. These companies, yes, we have institutional involvement and we have institutional participation, but it doesn't mean that they're going to be a hodler of their entire position.
Yeah.
If you become heavy in one part of your kind of company treasury, like if you hold, Bitcoin and stocks and like whatever it is that constructs your company treasury, if you become weighted in one area, you're forced to trim. So from what I understood is they just took profits. They had their position and the position increased in value and they just took the profit portion. So, that's just what any responsible trader would do. They're not degens. They are not degens, and they're very bullish on Bitcoin. They're processing all of their Tesla, all the Tesla Bitcoin transactions. They set up their own node. They're doing everything. Like they're full crypto. I'm not worried about their involvement and their bullishness on the space. Let them take profit. It's fine.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I guess, as you say, not financial advice people, but to me, that was just absolutely prudent investing. I think they made more money out of Bitcoin in a matter of a few months than they have selling Teslas in a number of years.
And then they're showing other companies. It's like, yeah, no, we just have Bitcoin on our balance sheet, and every quarter we just make $100 million or whatever it is that they, So people are like, okay, well, then maybe I need some Bitcoin on my balance sheet. The institutions are just going to, trickle in one by one, and then the trickle is going to turn into something a lot more than a trickle. So, if Tesla sells a little bit, they're responsible. They're supposed to. They're keeping their shareholders happy, and they're growing the company as a whole and keeping their, back to me talking about my whole portfolio. Look at your portfolio as a whole. If you get overweighted, you have to consolidate, and that's just the way it is.
Correct. I mean, the way the institutional players tend to work is, once an asset class reaches X trillion, they are effectively obliged to have a position in it. But we're talking about position sizing here, effectively, aren't we? And if they've allocated 1-2%, but all of a sudden the price of Bitcoin's gone up, all of a sudden that becomes 10, 20, 30% on their balance sheet. They're obviously going to trim, and I think that's all we've seen Tesla doing here. To me, it was actually bullish. I mean, a lot of people have been slinging shit at them. Oh my God, how could you sell your Bitcoin? You're meant to be a hodler, etc. Come on, people. This guy's slinging us Doge, not Bitcoin.
All news is good news,
Yeah, absolutely.
The institutions heard that they were buying. They didn't hear about the selling. Every time there's an event where they're doing something and the world starts panicking about it, you hear about it. And it's not just you and I that hears about it. It's these companies and these institutions that hear about it as well. Yeah. So, it's the network effect of passing on that information to remind people. A CEO might have had that idea and forgotten about it. It's like, Tesla, they made that. How much? The selling is just as important as the buying for the news story. They need that information so they can be reminded, oh, yes. Oh, wow. This is really working out for them. Should we do it? It's bullish. It's bullish.
Totally. Yeah, the rumor mill sort of sparking up a wee bit at this stage of the market as well. I'm hearing people talking about a very big public company about to announce a Bitcoin purchase today, supposedly. So let's see if that happens. I've seen Facebook banded around. I would find that very, very hard to believe. But let's see.
I would love to see Apple do it.
Yeah,
That's,
well,
it's complete speculation, but
I wouldn't be surprised if that is the one that we hear as next cab off the rank.
The way they've kind of been branding themselves as trying to be a little bit more respectful of data. If I'm to pick a hardware company, I feel that Apple is the best to kind of protect your data, and they do. At least they seem to. They haven't been caught not doing it. They haven't been caught using your data incorrectly. Yeah. If that's the way that they're going to rebrand, it's very smart because that's the way the world is going. And a part of that is blockchain technology. The next the iPhone 15, whatever it is, when it comes out, it's going to have a ledger built into it, and it just I don't know. It just makes sense to me. But now we're talking very speculative.
True. Okay, now listen. I want to thank you very much. We've had you on the channel twice this week, and yeah, that's a real honor and pleasure for us. I rate your content very highly. So does the team.
Thank you.
Pleasure to introduce you to our audience. So links below, people get across and you can check Baloo out live 3 times a week. He'll be here for as long as we can convince him to be on the weekly with us. Coming up tomorrow, we've got a friend of yours, Leanne, who will be with us to do a bit of TA as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we love Leanne. It's great having you both on the channel. We've also got our 1 Bitcoin and 32 Ethereum show with Stefano and Johnny Gonzo coming up later today. People will be looking at the fundamentals, how the boys are playing the market at the moment. Strong sort of gaming focus recently on that show. It is a massive growth area. We'll obviously be touching on Matic again, I would imagine, in that show. So, Baloo, thank you, sir. It's been a great way to start the day for me here in New Zealand, and you're sort of getting into the later hours of an evening in Mexico, I believe.
Yeah, it's pizza time.
I'll let you get to your dinner, and listen, mate. Thanks so much. We'll be back here next week with you, and
it was an honor.
Yeah. Thanks, man. So listen, obviously new time zone. So anyone watching, please let people know that we are here at this time. We'll be back this time next week as well. We'll just see how this sort of works out for everyone. But yeah, please let everyone know that we're in a new time slot. And we'll see you back here, same time next week. Cheers, Baloo.